All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever looked in the mirror and for just a split second felt like the entire universe was looking right back at you? I know, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but what if it wasn't just a fantasy?
You know, for some of the greatest minds in history, people like the philosopher Baruch Spinoza, even Albert Einstein, that question, are you God, it wasn't some crazy thought experiment. It was the most profound reality there is. So today, we're going to explore an idea so huge, it could completely change the way you see, well, everything. It's called pantheism.
So, what exactly is pantheism? Well, let's just break down the word. It comes from the Greek pan, which means all, and theos, which means God. All is God. Simple, right? But this isn't about worshiping, your toaster or the sidewalk. It's a philosophy that completely erases the line between the creator and the creation. The idea is that God isn't some old man on a cloud. God is the cloud, and the stars, and you, and me. God is the fabric of reality itself.
Now, the guy who really took this idea and ran with it was a 17th century philosopher named Baruch Spinoza. He's the one who turned this kind of gut feeling into a solid, logical system. And for that, he paid a heavy, heavy price. Back in 1656, his own community literally cast him out with a terrifying curse, all because he dared to think this way.
This right here, these three little Latin words, were his revolutionary idea. Deus sive natura, God or nature. And the key word here, the one that got him into so much trouble, is sive. It doesn't mean a choice, like coffee or tea. It means they're equal. Spinoza was saying God is nature. The laws of physics, the cycle of seasons, gravity, that is God in action. Okay, so how can everything be just one thing? It sounds a little weird, but Spinoza had this brilliant way of explaining it. Just think about H2O. It's one single substance, right? But it can show up in different modes, as solid ice, liquid water, or as steam. They look and feel totally different, but chemically, they're all the exact same thing. Well, for Spinoza, the whole universe is like that. There's one infinite substance, which is God or nature. And everything we see, you, me, the stars, trees, all of it, we're just different modes of that one single substance.
And there's a name for this concept. It's called monism. The big takeaway here is that if everything is made of the same fundamental stuff, then you aren't just some visitor living in the universe. You didn't just pop into existence on this planet. No, you grew out of the universe, the same way an apple grows on a tree. You are a fundamental part of it all.
And you know what? This idea isn't new at all. Spinoza might have systemized it, but it echoes through ancient wisdom from all over the world. The Stoics in ancient Greece, they talked about the logos, this divine fire that animates the entire universe, seeing it as one big living thing. And way over in ancient India, the Upanishads taught that Atman, that's the individual soul, is actually identical to Brahman, the ultimate total reality.
And this idea just keeps going, right into the modern age. And who picks it up? None other than Albert Einstein. When people asked him if he believed in God, this is what he'd say. He wasn't into a personal God who listens to prayers and intervenes in our lives. He believed in the God of Spinoza, a God that reveals itself in the beautiful, elegant, orderly laws of the universe. For Einstein, doing physics was a spiritual act. It was like reading the mind of God.
And this fits so perfectly with the modern scientific view, summed up beautifully by the astronomer Carl Sagan. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, every heavy element in your body was forged in the heart of a star that exploded billions of years ago. We are literally made of star stuff. That's not poetry, it's a scientific fact. So when we look out and study the cosmos, in a very real way, the cosmos is studying itself through us.
Modern physics even hints at this deep, deep interconnectedness. Take something like quantum entanglement. It's this phenomenon where two particles can be linked, and I mean so linked that what happens to one instantly affects the other, even if they're on opposite sides of the universe. Einstein himself called it spooky. It suggests that on the most fundamental level of reality, our idea of everything being separate might just be a total illusion.
Okay. This all sounds amazing and poetic, but let's be real. It runs into a very personal, very obvious problem. If I'm part of some grand cosmic unity, why do I feel like, well, just me, a separate person worried about my job, what to have for dinner, and paying my bills?
Well, a pantheist would say that feeling of being separate, that's your ego. And the ego isn't a bad thing. It's actually a super useful tool for survival. It's like a spacesuit you need to wear to navigate the world. A gazelle needs its ego to know it's separate from the lion that's chasing it, right? The problem starts when we get so used to the spacesuit that we forget we're wearing it. We start to think we are the suit, and we forget about the vast, infinite universe inside.
Now, here's a quick but really important distinction we got to make. Pantheism often gets mixed up with something called panentheism. The difference is subtle, but it's huge. Pantheism, what we've been talking about, says God is the universe. They are the exact same thing. Panentheism, on the other hand, says God is in the universe, but is also more than it. Think of it like this. For a panentheist, the universe is a sponge, and God is the water that's both inside the sponge and all around it. For a pantheist, there's no sponge, there's only the water.
Okay, but if God is just the unbreakable laws of nature, if everything that happens is just one domino knocking over the next in some huge cosmic chain reaction, what does that mean for our idea of free will? Are we really in charge?
Spinoza had a really radical answer for this one. He said that free will, the way we usually think about it, is an illusion. He had this great image, where like a stone that's been thrown through the air, if that stone could think, it would believe it was choosing its own path, soaring on its own power. Now that might sound super depressing, but for Spinoza, it was the opposite. He thought it was total liberation. If you understand that everything happens for a reason, you can let go of blame, you can let go of anger, and you can just achieve this profound state of peace and acceptance.
And that leads us to another massive question, maybe the toughest one of all. If the entire universe is God, how in the world do we explain all the pain, the suffering, and what we call evil? The pantheistic answer here is pretty stark. God, or nature, is neutral. It's not good and it's not evil. Nature isn't cruel, it's just indifferent. A lion killing a zebra isn't an act of evil, it's an act of hunger. A tsunami isn't a punishment from God, it's a geological event. For a pantheist, good and evil are purely human ideas, human judgments that we project onto a universe that simply doesn't operate on our terms.
So we've got to ask the final, ultimate question. If there's no personal soul, no heaven waiting for us, then what happens when we die? Pantheism offers a totally different kind of comfort. Death isn't the end, it's just a transformation. Imagine you're a single drop of water flung up from the ocean. For a moment, you're an individual drop, sparkling in the sun. And then you fall back. You stop being a separate drop, but you don't stop being water. You just rejoin the whole ocean. Your atoms, your energy, they all go back into the great cosmic cycle.
And it's wild how once you know about this idea, you start seeing it everywhere in our stories. Think about Star Wars. What is the Force? It's a perfect description of pantheism, an energy field created by all living things that surrounds us, penetrates us, and binds the galaxy together. Or look at the movie Avatar. The entire planet of Pandora is basically one giant conscious being called Iowa. These stories are so popular because they tap into this deep, fundamental human longing for connection. And this isn't just some abstract philosophical game. This way of thinking has powerful, real-world consequences. If you truly see the Earth not as a pile of resources to be used, but as the actual physical body of God, it changes everything. It creates this incredibly powerful environmental ethic. Suddenly, pollution isn't just a practical mistake. It becomes a sacrilege. It's like vandalizing a sacred temple. So at the end of the day, what pantheism really offers is a kind of bridge. It's a path for anyone who is totally fascinated by science and the rational world, but who still feels that sense of deep spiritual wonder and awe when they look up at the stars. It lets you have a profound connection to the universe without asking you to believe in things that contradict what we know from science. So, we're going to end right back where we started, with you. This idea, the idea that you are not just a tiny speck in the universe, but that you are the universe, waking up and experiencing itself for a little while. Does that thought frighten you, or does it comfort you? Is it the ultimate loss of your individual self, or is it the ultimate homecoming? That's something only you can answer.